Alright, so this person on Twitter said something a bit ridiculous, that libertarians are just as morally bankrupt as Republicans, they just like weed. Now, I'm not making this video because of her. She's not a prominent person or anything, which is fine, because I'm not either. But the reason why I want to say something about this is because this is a sentiment that I've seen a lot of people express, which is that libertarians are just Republicans that like weed. Now, this is odd to me because I don't care about weed in and of itself. I used to use it pretty frequently, but at this point I think I've used it twice in the past 8 years or so. I live in a state where it's legal recreationally. I may use it again someday, but truth be told, I don't think about it that much. And I would suspect that if you are a libertarian, and whether you use marijuana or not, it is not marijuana in and of itself that you care about. It is the prohibition thereof. For example, I could care less about gambling. I don't gamble. I have no desire to gamble. I think I once used a slot machine for about 20 minutes in Las Vegas one time, and that's about the extent of my gambling experience. However, if the state began chucking people into cages because they dared to use a slot machine, you would find me talking about slot machines relentlessly, so much so that I may start sounding like a degenerate gambler. But of course that wouldn't be the case. It would simply be my reaction to a disgusting overreach on part of the government, which is what we have when it comes to marijuana. If it was federally legalized, then states legalized it, and no more punitive action was taken against people for marijuana, I would likely never bring the topic up again. And I actually gleefully look forward to that day. Like I said, I don't care about marijuana. I don't want to talk about it. But state-sanctioned violence makes it impossible for me to not bring it up. I hate water chestnuts as well. I think they're disgusting. I hate the texture. They just skeeve me out. But if people began getting thrown into prison over them, then I would start talking about water chestnuts all the time. My thinking that something should be legal has absolutely no bearing on how I feel about it personally, or whether I use it or want to use it. It is simple consistency in how we view the state. In overarching terms, we recognize that any problem the state tries to solve, they almost invariably make it worse. Now, here's the other interesting thing about this post, slightly coincidental too, because just yesterday I made a video about Andrew Yang, and as usual with my videos on Andrew Yang, it always seems to be brigaded a little bit, which is fine. They can do whatever they want. And some of the posts were all right. They brought forth pretty decent points. But I did have some people say, and on my past Andrew Yang videos, I had some people say that I don't care or I don't want a UBI, but that I don't care about corporate welfare and the gigantic amount of money that we give to the military. And this strikes right at the heart of what I'm talking about here. There is an enormous disconnect on what non-libertarians think that libertarians and typical Republicans agree on. We are not Republicans, and weed is not the only thing that separates us. There are a lot of Republicans that don't mind corporate welfare. They don't mind and actively cheer for massive funding of military adventurism. They are way too often silent on the Federal Reserve. Too many of them want the government to legislate personal morality in regards to who can get married. They've given what that god-awful line in reference to the Patriot Act and the NSA spying that if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to fear. You wouldn't catch me dead saying something like that. Libertarians take a pretty big issue with Republicans on their near-complete silence on the debt and deficit spending when they have their guy in office. It all of a sudden gets pushed way down on the list of priorities. These things are about as antithetical as you can possibly get from the libertarian position. So to suggest libertarians are simply Republicans that like weed displays a vast ignorance of what we actually believe in the philosophy that grounds our positions. But that is it for now. Like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. And take it easy.